If you're looking to make your water changes all around easier and less prone to issues, from your mixing station to draining and filling your tank, or even completely automating both, then this video is for you, because today we've got a bunch of tricks and ideas to set up your Neptune Apex to handle the bulk of your water change work for you. Hey guys, Randy here with the BRStv guide to mastering your Neptune Apex controller, where it's all about improving your gear's performance and avoiding all those inevitable reefing issues that happen to nearly everyone. And today, it's water changes. Love them or hate them, after today, you'll learn how to use your Apex to completely automate the entire water change process, all the way down to your saltwater mixing station, and make the whole thing a little smarter, a bit safer, and a whole lot easier. We're going to do this in two stages. First, by making your saltwater mixing station smarter and safer with an auto refilling mixing bin when it runs empty, a push button option for those times that you need to heat and mix the water in advance, and save your home from leaks with a solenoid water control and optical sensors and leak sensors. Secondly, we're going to automate the water changes themselves to remove all the work using the Neptune dose. Automated meaning either small daily water changes throughout the week, or a fixed water change where you simply walk up and push a button to perform your water change when you feel like your tank needs it. No more hauling around buckets, hoses, or pumps, because the Neptune dose is going to do it all for you. And at the end, I've got 10 super helpful tips to make sure your dose does this accurately and consistently day in and day out. So diving right in with your saltwater mixing station, we're going to double down on leak protection for your home beyond a simple mechanical float valve like this by adding in a leak detection kit with leak sensors, optical sensors, and a Neptune solenoid that will shut off the flow of water if a leak ever happens and send you a text or notification. And on top of that, using optical sensors both for empty and full mixing bin alerts, as well as use them to tell your bin to fill itself back up automatically without you having to lift a finger. All of that starts by setting up the leak sensors first with the LDK and FMM. So if your mixing station isn't near your tank or your Apex, just daisy chain a few of these Aquabus extension cables to get you there and connect your FMM. Now you can plug the leak sensors into port 1 and 2, place them on the floor near your mixing bin or leak-prone areas, and also plug your optical sensors into port 3 and 4 and mount them inside your mixing bin, one a few inches off the bottom and the other just below your float valve. With the sensors attached, drag them down from the unused tiles on the Fusion dashboard and rename them for their intended purpose, like I did with Leak 1, Leak 2, Low Res, and High Res. Now find the LDK task function, choose your FMM, choose your leak sensors in port 1 and 2, and hit send. That takes care of the leak alerts and notifications, and next, we'll set up the optical sensors. First thing to do with the high and low optical sensors is to set them up to alert you when they are triggered by clicking that gear icon above your email outlet and add in a couple lines that say if low res open then on, and if high res close then on. Just remember that after setting this up, you will continue to get alerts that either the bin is full or empty, which is going to help you remember to turn your auto water change dose off when the bin is empty, and then remind you to turn it back on after you've mixed up your new batch of salt water. All right, so now we've protected against leaks and set up alerts for empty and full bins, but let's really turn this thing into a smart mixing bin with a Neptune solenoid. After installing the solenoid on your water feed line and plugging it and a power supply into your FMM, you can find the one-link outlet from your unused tiles that showed up when you added the FMM, pull it down to the dashboard and rename it something like mixing bin, then choose advanced for the control and add in a few lines that say fallback off, if low res open then on, if high res closed then off, and if leak 1 closed then off. There's now two things these lines will do for your mixing bin. One is that if a leak were ever detected, the solenoid would completely shut off the flow of water automatically. And the second is that your bin will automatically begin refilling itself once it runs empty, saving you a bunch of hassle of flipping valves or remembering to turn on and off the water. Here's another tip for you using the auto refilling bin setup. If you ever felt like refilling your bin before it hit that low level sensor, All you need to do is restart the solenoid outlet by toggling the slider to off for 5 minutes and then toggling it back to auto to start it filling up again. Just remember to turn your auto water change dose outlets off while you're filling and mixing new saltwater, and then flip them both back on to auto when you're ready to go. Now, I also mentioned earlier that you can set up your bin to start heating and mixing with the push of a button when you're ready to make a new batch. And sure, you could just flip a power strip on with your heater and mixing pump plugged in. But today we're talking about making water changes easier, and this is one other area that you can do just that by simply hitting a feed mode on your Apex before you go to bed and have the water heated and circulated and ready to go when you wake up. This one does require a few extra pieces of gear with an energy bar, PM1 module, and a temp probe, but I would just use an energy bar for it, over half the cost of a full EB832. So once you have all three of these connected to your Apex and your heater and mixing pump plugged in, find the new tiles for your energy bar outlets and temp probe graph in the unused tile bin, drag them down to the dashboard and rename them something easy like I did, mixing heater and mixing pump, as well as renaming the mixing station temp probe by clicking on the temp graph gear icon and naming it mix temp. Now find the heater task function, choose your mixing heater outlet, choose the mix temp probe, and set the min and max to 78 and 78.5, then push send. To set the entire thing up to a push button feed mode, just add a single line to both the heater and the mixing pump outlets that say, if feed C 000 then on. You can add this at the bottom of your heater outlet lines, and for the mixing pump, just make sure that the fallback and set are both off and add the line below. You'll also want to extend the feed mode runtime beyond the default 5 minutes to something that's long enough to bring your water up to temp, and the trick to do that is to find the miscellaneous gear icon and change the time anywhere from up to a maximum of 18 hours. All right, now on to stage 2 of using your Apex to make water changes a whole lot easier, which is all about the Neptune dose. Before we get into those top 10 helpful tips I promised earlier, let's quickly go over the difference between the dose automatic and dose manual task functions and how to know which one is the right tool for you. The dose manual water change is simple. Push a feed mode button, do a water change. You can change up to 31 gallons in a single 24-hour period, which probably fits a lot of tanks' needs for general upkeep, and you certainly could use more than one dose to double that amount. But the biggest takeaway from the dose manual water change is if you like to change your water on Saturdays, just push the feed mode in the morning and the dose will do the rest. On the other hand is the dose automatic water change, which will change a small portion of your water every day, making it more of a set and forget type option that essentially allows you to change a higher percentage of your tank water over the course of a week if needed. Mathematically, the automatic option is less efficient since it does remove a small percentage of the water it changed the day before, but for me, small daily changes is the approach I prefer for 2 reasons. 1, I know I'm likely to forget the push button from time to time, and 2, I can schedule my daily water change to happen during the time I'm typically not home, meaning I'm less likely to hear the dosing pump running. Regardless, whichever one of these 2 tasks speaks to you, let's walk through the task functions for both, then get to those top 10 tips. Starting with the dose automatic water change task function first, hook up your dose to the tank and reservoir as shown in the diagram. Rename the dose heads for adding water in and taking water out. Choose the amount of water you want to change daily and during what time. For example, I want to change 20% of my 100-gallon tank each week. That means I need to change about 3 gallons per day, then push send. Setting up the dose manual task function is just as simple, although you will choose which feed mode you'll use to activate a water change, which for me is feed mode B. Then choose how many gallons you want to change in a full 24-hour period, up to a maximum of 31 gallons. There is a bonus here. You can choose the low-res optical sensor in your mixing station to automatically shut the dose off when the reservoir is low, in case it happens in the middle of your manual water change. So that's really all there is to getting your dose set up for auto water changes, but I have a handful of helpful tips for you to consider before we close this one out. First, use dosing line holders or the Neptune magnetic probe rack to keep your dirty tank water tube submerged near the bottom of your sump and your clean water tube just underwater enough to keep it from building up salt creep. Second, You could use a rig like we do with 1/4-inch push connect fittings and acrylic tubing, so you don't have to worry about the lines curling underwater. Third, use darker colored 1/4-inch RODI tubing for all the lines, which not only makes rounding corners and extending tubing much easier with push connect fittings, but also avoids algae and gunk from growing inside the lines from ambient light. Just make sure to install the RODI tubing snugly onto the dosing head to keep it from drawing air. Tip number 4 is to mount your dose in a place that you won't hear it, like next to your mixing bin, or maybe even a crawl space, which you can easily reach with some aqua bus extension cables. Number 5, if possible, always try to run your dirty water tube down a drain or use a drain saddle clamp on your sink plumbing so you don't have to worry about maintaining or overfilling a dirty water bin. 6, separate the drain and the fill line from each other so it's not counterproductive. Neptune suggests drawing dirty water from the skimmer chamber and adding clean water to the return chamber. Tip 7, monitor salinity and set up salinity probe alerts to stay on top of upward or downward trends, because catching more pronounced trends might mean that your auto water change lines are clogged, kinked, or even got pulled out of the water, or that your reservoir might be empty. Tip number 8, prime your lines before you calibrate your dose, and calibrate your dose before starting your auto water change schedule, which leads me to that next tip that I recently learned how to do. Tip number 9, and I wouldn't say that this is a must-do tip, but it will save you a couple of extra steps when it comes to priming or calibrating the lines. The dose water change task function set your dirty water dosing head to run counterclockwise. However, when you push the button on the dose to prime the lines, or when you run the dose calibration task, that same dosing head runs clockwise. You can change the direction of your head if you'd like in order to make the calibration and priming easier, instead of physically swapping the lines to do so by doing this. Connect your dirty water lines backwards from what the diagram shows, meaning the left side will draw from your tank and the right side will go out to the drain. Then run the dose water change task function normally. After it's done, click on the gear icon for the right side dosing head, which I renamed dose remove. Choose modify interval and change the action from remove to add. This will change the direction of your dosing head to clockwise rotations, just the same as it runs for priming and for calibration. Tip number 10, and this one's a bit self-serving, but if you found a few gems or nuggets of info in today's video, you really should check out the full Master Your Neptune Apex playlist over here. I guarantee there's a hidden gem in each one, like the trick I show you for your ATO reservoir that never runs dry again in this episode right here, so check it out.